I was trying to beat a cool fan-made Pokémon fighting game. This game features up to 9 playable Pokémon with their own unique combinations of attacks and special moves. The game starts with Machop waving his hand and choosing solo or versus mode. I choose solo because I have no one to play with. We're thrown into fighter selection. There are 9 in total. There are Blaziken, Primeape, Toxicroak, Beware, Heracross, Mienshao, Chestnut, Phalanx, and the final Great Tusk that was added just recently. By the time of editing, a bunch of new fighters were added, so head over to their official channel to learn more. I chose Heracross because he is a very cute Pokémon. Each Pokémon here has its own attack combinations, but I didn't memorize anything because it's hard on my brain. There are 3 modes in the single-player game: the Path, Arcade Mode, and Training Mode. The Path, the Pokémon version of the tournament that every fighting game has. I think it will be more fun without training. Maybe? Our first opponent is Phalanx. He attacks with his troop or whatever it is. I don't know all the Pokémon, so ignore it. In the first battle, I had mastered the controls, but I still defeated my opponent. In fact, this one has a lot of groovy post-victory animations, many references to iconic moments. I won, but it was just a warm-up for the real fight. I think in a real fight, Blaziken would just do a fire-type attacks on me, and Heracross would die, but I think you can only use fighting-type attacks here. Okay, let's say Heracross has a level advantage. Even Blaziken was shocked in this situation. By that fight, I had kind of gotten the hang of the controls and learned how to do a series of strikes, which is why I still had half my health left in the first round. But then I got beaten twice. If anything, there are an infinite number of attempts, so you don't have to worry if you don't pass the first time. I tried to learn some moves, but I wasn't very good at fighting. On my second try, I almost lost, but I managed to overwhelm him when he had only a fraction of his health left by spamming attacks. The next opponent was a real pain for me. Up next is Beware. From here on, attacking comfortably becomes impossible. He kept landing takedowns and trying to beat me up by pinning me against the wall, which led to me losing many times, sometimes in a complete shutout. In the end, I decided to use a tactic called Don't Let Him Get Close. I ended up losing 4 times, but I finally beat him. Next up is Chestnut. Chestnut turned out to be similar to those giants who carry a small partner on their backs, sort of like Farah and Tor for Mortal Kombat, except he has Chespin on his back. During the fight, Chespin will give him fruit that might buff his character, but I'm not sure because I managed to beat him easily. Now it's Mienshao. During the battle, he attacks with his hands, using them like whips. I only lost to him once, so there's no need to dwell on this one. To be honest, I don't really like Mienshao. Interesting concept, but not the best design. Next up is Toxicroak. It's actually not that complicated. I defeated him with constant downward moves since he kept spitting poison. He can also release balloons that make us float in the air, a move similar to Rain's in Mortal Kombat. The next opponent is very challenging, Primeape. During the battle, he constantly uses grabs and rush attacks. Once he gets mad, there's no stopping him. We were evenly matched most of the time, with me winning and then him taking the lead. I thought about giving up and taking a break, but I decided to push through and get it done in one go. I lost to him 5 times, but finally won. Next is Great Tusk. If Primeape was challenging, Great Tusk is on a whole other level. He's like the local equivalent of Goro, Kintaro, or Motaro. He uses Earthquake and has a strong uppercut. He can also roll, creating rocks that hit us, followed by a rockfall. This fighter teaches us not to punch randomly, but to time our moves carefully and stick to our tactics. For example, he'll often charge into a gap and pin us against the wall, frequently using Earthquake and Roll to create rocks. After 3 losses, I managed to win a round, but it wasn't enough. Finally, after 7 losses, I managed to beat him. And after all that, we see the final splash screen with a happy ending. Heracross wants Bulbasaur again, and everyone is happy except Bulbasaur. There's also a secret boss here, Goro Chu. You can fight him if you don't use Continue even once. I've already fought him, making it there with Blaziken. Long story short, he totally kicked my ass.
Lighten up, take me on your magic river. Tell me all your dreams align. Beside